What's up, YouTube? Today I want to talk about lucid dreaming. And lucid dreaming is the act of taking control over your dream. And so I wanted to bring up a verse in the Quran that kind of touches base about that concept, and that's Surah Az-Zumar. That's chapter 39, verse 42. And it says, "It is Allah who calls back the souls upon their death, as well as the souls of the living during their sleep. And for some people who are meant to die, he keeps them. People who are just dreaming, he releases them. And surely in this are signs. And so, the Quran talks about the concept that our when we sleep, our soul is actually being taken away. It's no longer a part of our body. Science will try to say, well, it's just when you're dreaming, you're having like a consciousness thing going on, whatever. Science has been consistently wrong about a lot of things. Not that I'm anti-science, but it's just the facts. And so, what is actually happening when you lucid dream? Well, when you lucid dream, you're in a kind of a regular dream. I do this a lot. I actually did it last night. But it's where you kind of take control over your dream. Now, this will go, this will kind of go in unison this video with astral projection because that's the same concept. Astral projection is just making your soul leave your body when you're not asleep. You're kind of tricking your body into making it think it's asleep. Whereas lucid dreaming is actually, being asleep, being in the middle of the dream, and then just kind of being aware of it. Now, there's a lot of techniques to do it, but there's so many videos out there. But I know one of my things to help me do it is just setting an intention, like you want to kind of fall asleep, like not watching TV or like being super tired or something. Is just kind of like really set that intention in your head that as soon as I start dreaming, like to wake up. And I got really good at it. And from there, you can go into astral projection. There's a lot of different things you can do while you're in that lucid dream. Um, but the concept is there that if the Quran is saying, your soul is being taken by God, and we know that this isn't just conscious thought or whatever. Like, this isn't just like, oh, this is like your nerves firing right when you sleep. It's actually something where you can go to this physical plane, you can go to other planes, you can interact with, other beings or your family members or whatever who passed away, things on the other side. I know an individual who she would, let's say she was planning to visit somewhere, she would dream and then, take control of that dream and be in that area. And so sometimes her friends would be like, oh, how do you know where you're going? Have you come here before? And she's like, oh, yeah. And she didn't want to explain that she was lucid dreaming or whatever. But, interestingly, there's a guy by the name of Joe McEagle, and he actually worked for, he was kind of in the MK Ultra, which is basically the militarized version of using lucid dreaming as well as astral projection or remote viewing in order to, advance the government's, whatever they wanted to do militarily. And he actually has a podcast. He has a lot of different podcasts, but he has a podcast where he talks about, he was on a guest of theirs called Behind Greatness, and he talks about the military. Actually, they purposely would, make him go into a lucid dream and then have him, they were testing it out, have him spy in a certain area. So he was going from a dream state to then being in a physical, the earth plane. Um, and he got so good at it, and he really talked about a lot of interesting things he was able to do. Like, they would have a room that they'd set up and they'd put like a picture in the room, and they kind of locked the door so no one could get in. So they would have him, fall asleep, go to that room, then wake up and say exactly what he said. So it's very intertwined with actual astral projection. It's intertwined with the concept that your soul isn't really connected to your body, and we should already understand that concept, but it should also show that there's what the Quran is saying is true. Your soul is separate from your body. Um, and so, I think it's interesting that it's not just random nerves firing, right? Because how could this guy, Joe McEagle, be able, know what's an experiment is set up, know what's, on a room, a picture in a room that no one's ever accessed. He goes into his dream state, then he goes into the earth plane, this physical plane, not whatever random dimension. He's in, where most people are in when they're sleeping. When you have a dream that doesn't make sense, right? Um, he's going into this room, being able to accurately describe what's on the photo, the waking up, and then telling the experimenter, the scientist who's kind of watching over him. So it goes to show that this isn't just random brain firings, and this isn't this is literally what the American government, the CIA and the military, the DoD, the Department of Defense. I mean, these aren't just random idiots just saying, "Oh yeah, your brain goes into you go in another dimension." Right? This is really American government scientists, smart people, $1 billion industry, essentially saying, that what the Quran is saying is that it's literally your soul's being taken out every time you sleep. Um, and so you could kind of also watch my astral projection video to kind of go more into depth about what you can do when you're in this out of body state. I also just think lucid dreaming is really cool. I mean, I did it last night. I just was kind of flying around. There was one time where I was just kind of skateboarding around. I don't know exactly where I was. I was in some like dream world. I do it pretty often. um I had one where I was like communicate. I was having a dream where I was communicating with aliens, and then midway through the dream, I'm just like, wait a minute, what the hell? Like, I shouldn't be in real life talking to aliens. And then I kind of became lucid in my dream, so that was cool. But it's a cool concept. But you should check out my astral projection video. But also know that this is what the Quran said. The Quran didn't. It specifically said that your soul's being taken when you sleep, and it's a facts. Most of the time we're in another dimension. There's lots of different dimensions existing at the same time. People get visited by their ancestors or people who passed away in their dreams. So you know Joseph, prophet Joseph, he did Yosef, it's Yusuf in Arabic, but they weren't speaking Arabic in ancient Israel at the time, so it's Yosef. They he did dream interpretations, and even today people still do dream interpretations. So and prophet Daniel did dream interpretations. So there's something to dreams, but this is just a cool concept. If you want to know more about the techniques and how to actually do it, I'm sure a lot of people become aware of the dreams at certain points accidentally. There's a lot of resources out there to help you do that. Thank you for watching, and thank you.